Good morning, everybody. I am Dr. Nitin Doshi, Professor in Neurology, with teaching experience of 25 years, working as consultant neurosurgeon in Panvel, more than 30 years. Today we will discuss things common to partial nephrectomy for benign pathologies of kidney as well as in malignancy of kidney, that is nephron saving surgery. Preoperatively, consent for SOS removal of entire pathological kidney if partial nephrectomy is not feasible or intraoperatively results into interactable bleeding. Second, consent for SOS ICD insertion as pleura may get opened or when incision is transpleural. Third, consent for SOS ICU admission. Fourth, pre-op chest physiotherapy with spirometry. Fifth, keeping adequate units of group specific blood cross-match standby ready. Sixth, keeping 3 to 4 liters of sterile normal saline or ringer lactate in deep freezer 1 day prior for preparing sterile ice slush. If suspecting benign or malignant adhesions of pathological kidney to peritoneum and intraperitoneal organs, pre-op bowel preparation given by oral pegleg 1 day prior, followed by IV infusion of ringer lactate to prevent dehydration and electrolyte imbalance. 1 hour prior to surgery, IV antibiotic so as to achieve good concentration of drug in blood. Suitable anesthesia for partial nephrectomy for benign or malignant condition is general anesthesia with epidural. Epidural is helpful for postoperative analgesia. After anesthesia, in lithotomy position, insertion of 6 French open-ended ureteric catheter over glide wire is carried out, followed by insertion of 14 French Foley's catheter under strict aseptic precautions. Insertion of 6 French open-ended ureteric catheter is carried out because 1. It helps to identify ureter in retroperitoneum during surgery. 2. When ureter is identified, ureter can be traced upward so that one can reach renal pelvis and hence renal sinus, and one can identify hilar structures, that is renal artery and vein. 3. Ureteric catheter is required during partial nephrectomy to perform intra-op RGP with diluted methylene blue so as to identify opened up pelvic-calycial system after resection of pathological part of the kidney. Also, performing RGP with methylene blue is required after closure of opened up pelvic-calycial system for confirming watertight closure of pelvic-calycial system. And 4th indication for insertion of open-ended ureteric catheter is for insertion of zebra wire through ureteric catheter so that one can do antegrade digestating at the end. Incision is through posterolateral lumbar, that is flank approach. Incision is started from tip of selected rib, carried backward posteriorly along the center of rib. Incision is started from tip of the rib because pleura comes in relation with posterior periosteum of rib on posterior aspect of incision, particularly in deep inspiration. Since neurovascular bundle is present along lower border of rib, incision is taken along the center of the rib. Rib is resected subperiosteally. If incision is going to be extrapleural, then retroperitoneum should be entered through rib bed, that is posterior periosteum of resected rib on anterior aspect. This is because on posterior aspect of incision, pleura will come in picture. Even if would-be approach later on may be transperitoneal, initially retroperitoneal dissection is done through thoracic part of the incision. This is because the dissection in the retroperitoneal region in the beginning helps the surgeon to operate or mobilize kidney even at level of skin. Retroperitoneum is developed by inserting 2 to 3 wet mops inserted in retroperitoneum one by one. This insertion of 2 to 3 wet mops act like blunt dissector, thus gradually opening up retroperitoneal space. This blunt dissection by inserting wet mop in whatever available space in the retroperitoneum is not possible in case of gross malignant or benign adhesions between gyrotars fascia and muscles of posterior abdominal wall. When there are no adhesions due to development of retroperitoneum, one can identify ureter on psoas major muscle as whitish, tubular, non-branching, non-pulsatile tubular structure with presence of longitudinally running blood vessels in its periureteral adventitial fatty sheath. If any doubt, with fine needle one can aspirate contents from this tubular structure. Absence of blood and presence of urine in tubular structure confirms ureter. Identified ureter is dissected with vascular tissue holding forceps and mixture on its either side and hooked with infant feeding tube. When traction is given to this infant feeding tube, bands of tissue which are holding ureter to posterior abdominal wall are identified, which are cut with tip of hot steel so as to mobilize ureter below upwards up to renal pelvis and hence renal sinus. Due to blunt dissection by wet mops, one can even identify inferior vena cava present on right side of midline. During partial nephrectomy, proper and early exposure as well as control of vascular pedicle, that is main renal artery and renal vein, is essential. Not only identification and isolation of main renal artery or vein is essential, but even identification and isolation of accessory renal vessel is essential. This is because in 25% of kidneys there is presence of accessory renal vessel. To identify vascular pedicle, suction can be used for blunt dissection. That is, with suction one can dissect fibrofatty lymphatic tissue present around renal artery and renal vein. By making IVC bare, entry of renal vein into inferior vena cava can be identified. To make IVC bare with vascular tissue holding forceps and vascular mixture, fibrofatty lymphatic tissue present over anterior surface of IVC is dissected, coagulated and cut. Once renal vein and renal pelvis are identified, renal artery can be isolated. This is because renal artery is present between renal vein and renal pelvis. Also, making IVC bare helps to identify even entry of other tributaries like gonadal vein from below and suprarenal from above. Suprarenal vein opens IVC on the posterior lateral aspect of IVC. During identification and skeletonization of vascular pedicle, dissection is carried out with vascular mixture in direction parallel to renal artery and vein. While performing partial nephrectomy, whether for benign or malignant condition, clamping of vascular pedicle, ideally only renal artery, is crucial. This is because clamping the renal pedicle results into decreased intraoperative bleeding. Also, due to clamping of the renal artery, kidney becomes soft and supple, so its cortical thickness and turgor decreases, as a result of which intrarenal surgery as well as surgery in renal sinus becomes feasible. This is because due to clamping of renal artery, access to intrarenal region as well as intrasinus region increases. In case renal artery or renal vein could not be identified properly, then after kidney is being completely mobilized in such a way that kidney is suspended only by renal pedicle, that time pedicle bearing area can be clamped en masse by vascular clamp like Satanski or DeBakey clamp. For this, surgeon's index and thumb finger should go around the pedicle bearing region easily. However, it is not the ideal way of controlling the vascular pedicle. In order that kidney should be suspended only by vascular pedicle, kidney is to be completely mobilized even in case of malignancy. For this, one is able to identify first the pararenal fat, that is extraperitoneal fat. Then below this pararenal fat is the Girota's fascia. Anterior layer or posterior layer of Girota's fascia is actually a fibrous layer which is opened under control of two fingers longitudinally in upward and downward direction. Initially, lateral border of kidney with part of anterior and posterior surface of kidney is mobilized first. Then the lower pole is mobilized and the last is the upper pole which is mobilized. During mobilization of poles, attention is given to polar vessels. Lower polar vessel sometimes is the main source or the only source of blood supply to upper ureter. Lateral traction on mobilized lateral border of kidney helps to visualize medial border of kidney and hence even helps to identify and isolate vascular pedicle which is present on the medial aspect of the kidney. While performing partial nephrectomy for malignant condition, perirenal fat in relation to tumor should be kept intact. Intraoperative control of hemorrhage can be achieved by 1. Manual compression of normal parenchyma during and after excision of pathological part. Thus, manual compression by hand act like a clamp which is called a hand clamp, or by applying Satanski or DeBakey vascular clamp at the junction of normal and pathological segment of the kidney. Both these maneuvers can result into subcapsular hematoma. Third way of controlling hemorrhage, en masse pedicle clamping with vascular clamp. That is, not keeping even renal vein unclamped. Fourth way, individual ligation of renal vein and renal vein. Clamping of renal vein is required in case of central or hilar renal cell carcinoma, which is involving major branches of renal vein. Ideally, renal artery and renal vein, if required to be clamped, should be clamped away from the kidney as far as possible. That is, they should be clamped away from the kidney as much as possible. This is because sometimes renal artery, instead of branching into anterior and posterior division in the hilar region, they may branch much away from the kidney. So, clamping of renal artery in hilum or near kidney may result into missing of this early branch vessel. Usually this early branch vessel is the posterior division of the artery. So, it may result into bleeding from this missed branch vessel, that is posterior division, causing gross hemorrhage intraoperatively. Advantages of clamping only renal artery and keeping renal vein patent are: due to patent renal vein, there is back perfusion, so the severed branches of smaller arteries and veins can be identified individually. So these identified bleeding vessels can be suture ligated to achieve better hemostasis. Second advantage, due to back perfusion through patent vein, there will be perfusion of the parenchyma, hence decreased incidence of ischemia. Third advantage, with the vein unclamped, after some time blood from kidney will be drained off, so even the renal vein will ideally collapse after some time. However, if the renal vein remains patent, indicates presence of some additional blood supply to kidney. So before starting resection of pathological segment, search should be made to identify this additional source of blood supply to kidney. Ideal way of controlling bleeding during partial nephrectomy is super selective arterial clamping. that is identifying, isolating and ligating the branch of artery supplying pathological segment of pole of kidney. It is particularly useful in case of polar nephrectomy, that is when pathology is restricted to only part of kidney, upper pole or lower pole. Due to clamping of arterial branch supplying pathological region, it results into ischemia of this region, thus helps to give a demarcation line which is the site of incision. Also, due to clamping of only segmental branch, rest of normal parenchyma to be preserved gets continuously unimpeded blood supply, thus preventing ischemia of this healthy parenchyma which is to be preserved, and hence it prevents attendant complications of ischemia. Prior to clamping of renal artery, achieving surface hypothermia is mandatory. This is because surface hypothermia helps to prolong cold ischemia time to 3 hours from warm ischemia time of 15 to 30 minutes. At body temperature of 37 degrees centigrade, that is in warm conditions, if renal artery is clamped for more than 15 minutes, then irreversible damage will start secondary to ischemia. Due to clamping of renal artery, there is no blood supply, so there is no supply of oxygen and the energy-rich ATP molecules to kidney, thus resulting into acute tubular necrosis. However, due to surface hypothermia, that is cooling kidney from body temperature of 37 degree to 20 degree, ideally 15 degree, there will be lowering of cellular metabolism. Due to decrease in cellular metabolism, there is decreased oxygen and ATP consumption, hence decreased requirement of oxygen and energy-rich ATP molecules by the tubular cells. So, cold ischemia time can be prolonged to 3 hours. Steps of surface hypothermia are: patient is well hydrated intraoperatively. About 10 minutes prior to clamping of renal artery, osmotic diuretic, that is 20% mannitol, is infused slowly. Prior to clamping renal artery, sterile ice slush of normal saline or ringer lactate is kept ready. Immediately after clamping renal artery, kidney is surrounded by sterile ice slush. For this, sterile steri-drape is taken. Incision is made in center of steri-drape so as to accommodate mobilized kidney. Now steri-drape is pressed in wound. Now sterile ice slush is put over steri-drape to surround the kidney. More and more fresher ice slush is put so as to surround the kidney and allow to fall the temperature of the kidney from body temperature of 37 to core temperature of 20 degree. Ideally it should be 15 degree, but it is difficult to achieve. After 15 minutes, entire ice slush is sucked so as to prevent systemic hypothermia. Because of cooling and clamping the renal artery so that there is no blood supply, the kidney will become soft, supple and blanched, provided there is no additional blood supply to kidney. After the achieving adequate surface hypothermia, incision is taken along lateral convex border of kidney to reflect the capsule from renal parenchyma for about 1 to 2 cm proximal to the pathological site, and it should be all around the kidney with the back of the knife. This capsule as far as possible should be preserved so that it can be used after the resection of pathological segment to close and achieve proper rhinography. Before starting resection of pathological segment, 2 to 3 bolsters are kept ready. Bolsters are prepared by suturing cut pieces of gel foam strips with 3,0-Vicryl. At the site of pathology, with low coagulating current, incision is marked on anterior and posterior surface of the kidney. As far as possible, bipolar pottery is to be used. Incision is deepened on anterior and posterior surface of kidney keeping constant orientation with respect to hilum so as to prevent injury to hilar structures. Thus, renal parenchyma is divided by sharp and blunt dissection. During parenchymal resection, clear field is kept by fine tip suction. As far as possible, strip of capsule beyond the parenchymal line of resection is preserved for closure of renal defect later. Also, during parenchymal resection, once there is leak of urine which indicates opening of pelvic ileal system, one should avoid cautery and change to the stele at the level of pelvic ileal system. With vascular clamp in situ, RGP is done with diluted methylene blue to identify opened up pelvic ileal system. Opened up pelvic ileal system is closed watertight with 4-0 Vicryl on round body. Watertight closure of opened PC system is confirmed by repeat RGP with diluted methylene blue. On the renal surface, transected blood vessels are identified individually and suture ligated with fine absorbable suture material on round body like 4-0 Vicryl or chromic catgut. In renal sinus, there will be sizable arteries and veins as well as collecting system. So special care is to be taken to ligate the blood vessels in the renal sinus separately. Avoid large and deep bites in renal sinus which will inadvertently fuse artery and vein, causing iatrogenic AV fistula with resultant delayed hemorrhage. Venous bleeders can be identified when renal artery is still clamped. At this time, when the renal vein is still open, then ask anesthetist to hyperinflate. This will result into increased central venous pressure. Increased central venous pressure will in turn result into increased renal venous pressure. Increased renal venous pressure will force out the blood through unsecured transected veins on the renal surface. Thus facilitates detection of the smaller unsecured branches of the renal vein. Now the step of renography, that is renal closure and coverage. The raw edges of resected renal parenchyma are approximated by taking 3-0 chromic catgut or 3-0 Vicryl sutures inserted through capsule and small amount of renal parenchyma on either side. Before sutures are being tied, the oxycell or prepared bolsters of the Surgicel or perirenal fat are inserted in the defect for inclusion in the renal closure. If renal capsule is inadequate, then a portion of the perirenal fat or retroperitoneal fat or free graft of peritoneum can be simply inserted into the base of renal defect as hemostatic measure and sutured to parenchymal margins with interrupted sutures with 3-0 or 4-0 chromic catgut. Even after closure of renal defect with use of capsule, free graft of peritoneum or perirenal fat is placed and sutured as additional hemostatic measure. Also, it helps to prevent cicatrization of renal parenchyma during process of healing. After closure or coverage of renal defect, renal artery is unclamped so as to restore renal circulation. Before releasing the vascular clamp, keep hot mops ready for compression of renal parenchyma for 10 minutes. In spite of compression of renal parenchyma, if there is any evidence of active bleeding, then ideally one has to reopen the suture line after reclamping renal artery. Never attempt should be made to find the bleeding vessel by keeping renal artery patent, as it immediately fills the wound with massive blood and results into unnecessary blood loss. However, as far as possible, avoid reclamping of renal artery as it results into reperfusion injury. One can attempt taking deep mattress sutures of 3-0 chromic catgut or Vicryl at the site of bleeding before reopening the sutured parenchyma. However, these deep sutures results into more nephronal damage and loss. After removal of pathology, the remaining kidney will be like a small moiety in large retroperitoneal space. Due to availability of large space and the kidney being mobilized, it may rotate, resulting into torsion, causing compromised blood supply, resulting into infarction of the kidney. To prevent this, nephropexy is performed, that is, remnant residual moiety of the kidney is fixed to muscles of posterior abdominal wall by 20 or 30 chromic catgut interrupted sutures. Antegrade degescenting is done, that is, through open-ended ureteric catheter, Jepra wire is inserted over which digestant is inserted. In case of lower polar or mid-polar nephrectomy, the ureterocalicostomy will be required to achieve continuity with the bladder. Nephrostomy should be avoided to prevent the risk of developing fistula. Girota's fascia is closed. Perinephric drain is inserted through separate stab wound. Kidney bridge is lowered before starting suturing. Local anesthetic is infiltrated in the wound for postoperative multimodal pain relief approach. And then, once the kidney bridge is opened, when the muscles are properly in one plane, the wound is closed in layers. Thank you very much.